Everybody, welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. That's 2 weeks in a row, 2 days in a row here. Got a good show tonight. Just sending Jamie check second email. Okay. Anyways, LeBron James, Jerry Jones got a few takes I want to make on that. Plus, LeBron comments about this video or this picture from 1957 circling the internet. I found out today it was actually published by the Washington Post. Nobody knows how the Washington Post got it. I've got a few ideas of how they did get something like that, and we'll talk about that. The college football playoff will be 12-game playoff in 2024. That's been moved up a couple years. That is official. I don't know how I missed that story yesterday, but it did happen. Going to talk a little Titans, Eagles. Going to have Jamie Pags, the Philly sports guy, on. But first, stand by. I'm going to be, we'll do a quick break here, and I'll come back, hopefully with the Philly sports guy. If not, I'll go on with the program as well, okay? Be right back in a minute and 19 seconds, folks. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again spelled the same way, or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. All right, I'm live here now. Going to bring in a legendary legend in the making, probably outdoing Fireman Ed at this point. The biggest sports fan in Philadelphia and probably in America here. Jamie Pags, everybody.
Hey,
what's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
How you doing, Robert? Good to see you. Beautifully dressed as always.
You know what? I forgot to get. I was going to bring this bobblehead I got for you. I know your trip got canceled to Nashville. Who thought that the Phillies were going to make the World Series?
I tell you, it's. I was surprised. I mean, it was one of those situations where, I of course I wanted to go to Nashville, but
Yeah.
I
Oh
can't.
man, go to the World Series, brother.
Yeah, I tell you, when I was talking to my manager about it, and my manager is the one who does all the trips, and I'm like, listen, I can't. I have to cancel that trip. I can't go.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, and he was like hemming and hawing about, like, listen, there's no way that I could be out of Philadelphia when they possibly clinch.
Yeah.
And that was the
And
end.
they
That was
did.
the end of that. So,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, let me ask you about that. Now, how often has that ever happened? Did you look this up in Philadelphia sports history or even Major League Baseball history when you fire your manager in the middle of the season and that team goes to the World Series? I've never heard of that. I've heard it in NBA, but not in Major League Baseball.
I've heard it in hockey too. The
Okay.
St. Louis Blues did it with Chief is the coach over there, Craig Berube, who was an
Okay.
ex-Flyer, and they fired the coach. They brought him in as an interim coach, and he was able to bring the team you know, to the Stanley Cup and win it.
Man, that's
I don't
awesome.
know about baseball.
Yeah.
Obviously, there have, you know, I'm sure there's been other times where they have gone far into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, it just sort of makes you understand that firing the manager at the time that we did was the right choice.
Yeah.
And then getting hot at the right time is always important. And that was one of the things that happened with the Phillies. Just Houston was, just really as tough as they were, as they were on paper.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it was. But I don't know if another manager ever was able to pick up the team in the middle of the season and bring them as far as Rob Thompson did in baseball.
Man, that was impressive, man. I'll tell you. Was you there for that no hitter?
I was.
Oh man. Well, I mean, you got to tip your hat to them. I mean, that's unbelievable.
You know what? It's not as big a deal as I think that the media made it out to
John
be.
Smoltz wasn't impressed either.
Yeah, well, and only because it's a no hitter by one pitcher in a World
Yeah.
Series would have been absolutely amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I agree that that was really what had happened. If that had happened, that would have been something to be part of history.
Yeah.
When you get four pitchers and they all no hit you, it's just like, who cares?
They did
You know
it
what I
to the
mean?
Yankees one year in the regular season. I watched that game.
That
Do you remember that?
this year,
Really?
they did
Well,
it
they did
this
it
year.
like 10 years ago, too. It was like five pitchers for Houston.
So I tell you, it's
I
going to
think
be
it's
really.
hard, though, because those guys have to be hot. Everybody's got to have their A game, if you
Well,
ask
you know
me.
what? No, I see. I disagree with that. I think that everybody. So Houston almost did it to us in the second to last game of the season because we went out and celebrated that we made it to the playoffs,
Man,
and we didn't get a hit until 2 outs in the ninth.
man, those
So
dudes, they got some pitching, man.
they do have some pitching,
I mean,
and
and I'm not even a baseball guy, but I was impressed with your run, but I was impressed with what they did as well. Let me ask you about this. The Eagles' success. What do you credit this year's success to? I mean, I thought maybe they'd go 10-7, 11-6. They may have the best record in the league. What do you
uh,
credit that success to
the
after you've
offensive
seen it?
defensive line.
Yeah.
That's where all that success comes from, and a fantastic wide receiver.
So
So it's
what's your thoughts on AJ Brown so far?
uh, yeah, he is as advertised. It's funny because I go back to the draft, and I'm sure that you may have seen it and others may have seen it, where I trolled Tennessee fans, the Titans fan base. I went
We're pretty
over to
bummed
their
out. A lot
section.
of us were bummed out about it. I was bummed out more about his cap hit, how Roseman, I want to say manipulated. He's good with the cap, man. He's only like a $5 million hit. That's unbelievable. You're not paying him nothing. You're not paying Jalen Hurts nothing.
Right. Now, Jalen Hurts is going to be a different story moving forward because
Yeah,
they're going to wind up paying him and probably making him one of the highest paid quarterbacks at the time,
yeah,
because ultimately I think they're going to sign him before the season is up so that they can utilize some of the money that they have left over for the cap this year and give it to Jalen Hurts so that they would be able to, help minimize some of this hit later on.
yeah.
But
Man,
uh,
that's another hot take, brother. I mean, he's only in year 3. Are you okay
yeah,
with
but
that?
you don't have a choice. I mean,
Mm.
so I said at the beginning of this year and really the end of last year that I needed to see 10 more games. Well, I saw my 10 games and he went 9-1.
Yeah,
So you can't argue with the results.
yeah,
I mean, you could arguably say that he was the reason why we beat the Packers.
yeah.
He himself had 350 or 60 yards of offense.
150 and 150.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean, he had
running and throwing.
176 in rushing, and I think it
Yeah,
was like 170 in passing as well. So,
yeah,
literally, it's like when you are doing that much for your team,
Yeah.
you got to be able to feed your family.
That's true. Chris Collinsworth, I know you're actually at the games, but I can't tell you how many times he says, this guy squats 600 pounds. It's like, Chris, we get it already. You said it earlier this season in the Dallas game, and then you said it again on Sunday night. And he's got some leg drive. He's got some leg drive. I have to give it. I didn't see this coming with him, but I still think about what Jim Jeffcoat said. I wasn't thinking that. You think leadership skills. Everybody's got leadership skills, not so much, but he talks about the leadership skills of a Jalen Hurts way more than a guy like a Kyler Murray. Two guys from Texas, both being compared to, of course, Murray was a first overall pick. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. I like him better as a passer. But Hurts, there's something about maturity and drive and heart and determination and, quote, being all in. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan, but at least it seems like he's all in. He's not brand building and all that other nonsense. So I can understand where you say, hey, man, if you pay him now, you're not going to get hit later. And maybe you can spread that out. Roseman is a genius at this stuff. And I'm not saying that because you're here. I say that behind your back because I'm reading all this stuff, how he went out and got Darius Slay, okay, how he assembled that offensive line. You picked up James Bradbury, the other cornerback, for peanuts, and he's holding up. This Gardner Johnson, I like your safety there. I mean, you guys don't really – do you see a weakness right now?
The one weakness that I foresee or I see is our defensive coordinator.
Oh, man. Yeah, you didn't like that opening week against Detroit.
I didn't like this last week. I'm not a big
30,
fan.
yeah.
I am not a big fan of the way he calls his defense. I am a child of Jimmy of Johnson. Like when Johnson, not Jimmy Johnson, but the defensive coordinator of the Eagles back in the
Ron
90s.
Johnson. He died, didn't he?
Yes, he passed
He
away.
had cancer. He was a really good coordinator.
Yes,
Brian Dawkins.
And he also was very good at doing blitzing and disguising the blitz well enough so that you were able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and our defenses were scary. They were scary good. Yeah, Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, those are the times when, I remember those, and then to watch some of our defensive linemen have to go out in coverage. Every time I see a defensive lineman in coverage chasing after a receiver who caught the ball, I blame it right on Gannon. And I think that's our problem. Yeah, I think that's part of our problem, that you have all of this talent and you are not using properly. And I have issue with that.
So you think he just calling the bad, and he's got a boatload of talent. Does he not blitz enough for you?
I think he blitzes the least amount in the NFL.
Oh, he's like a Jim Schwartz 2.0. You just had Jim Schwartz a few years ago.
And I tell you, I was so happy to get rid of Jim Schwartz. I didn't realize that we were getting, Jim Schwartz light. You know what I mean? Because that's what this is. He doesn't. You think about it. You think about all the times, like there is one blitz that Jim Schwartz did, out of the entire time that he was here in Philadelphia, that meant anything. That was the strip sack in the Super Bowl.
Oh, was that a blitz?
That was a blitz.
Brady?
That was a blitz. He actually called it. It's funny when you see him talk to Peterson.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm going to get the ball back for you." And he called a blitz on that play. And it was a successful blitz. The reason why his blitz were so successful when he called them was because he never called them. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. But he was also trying to protect the middle of the field because the middle of the field, that was the other thing. It was the bend, don't break defense. And
Yeah,
how many times did we give up 13 for first downs? I mean, those just bothered the hell out of me. Gannon's a
man.
little different
Yeah,
in that he doesn't give those up,
yeah.
but he also, when he puts those defensive linemen in coverage, I'm like, why are you having Sweat go out in coverage on a tight end?
Let me ask you: is that why you guys give up? I know you gave up a big screen pass there to Aaron Jones. It seems like running backs in the not with a screen pass, but running backs in the flat there. And I notice sometimes you do get gouged with the power running game. Washington, for example, the Indianapolis. That's why I think this will be a good game come Sunday, because that's what Tennessee does well is power football. Is
Well,
that what you think that the reason for that being is some of his crazy coverages?
yes and no. So
Okay.
when you think about what had happened with the Indianapolis Colts on that first drive, I think Taylor got 40 yards,
Yeah.
rushing in that first drive. He got 40 yards the rest of the game because he stopped sending his guys out into coverage.
Oh,
He
nice.
relied
Nice.
he relied on the linebackers to pick up the tight end and things like that. So once that occurred, he was able to stop the run. The difference between the last 4 games or 5 games and this game is
Yeah.
that we've got a big body back in the middle of that lineup. And I'm not talking about Ndamukong Suh or the other guy that we picked up. I'm talking about Jordan Davis.
Oh, is he
And
back?
he's back this week.
Oh, man. Well,
So
there goes my Tennessee chances there.
yeah, that's where I think that it's going to be a big help and a big boost to this line. I
Yeah.
mean, Fletcher Cox had probably one of the best games in the last 2 years that he's had last week because
Oh, nice.
Ndamukong Suh got his legs back under him.
Yeah.
I know that he played for the Colts game and he did okay,
Yeah.
but he got his legs back under him, and now you put Sue and Cox on the same line. All of a sudden, you've got a problem
Yeah.
because you ain't got enough linemen. You got to double team Sue. You got to double team Cox. One of them is not going to be double teamed.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Cox got he was getting tackles for loss. He was getting sacks. I mean, he had probably one of the better games. And that wasn't really due to the fact that he was playing any different. It was due to the fact that his defensive line mates were able to help him in a way that they haven't been able to help him all season long.
Nice. Not yeah, he's plugging that gap. Yeah, that's interesting, man. So what do you think is going to happen? And how far do you see what do you want what do you want this team to do, and what do you think this team is going to do? Obviously, I guess would be to win the Super Bowl, but realistically, how far do you think they can go?
I think that they win every game that they remain very focused on.
Okay.
I think you can't look ahead. This is the NFL. I think
Yeah.
that the moment that you start to lose some focus, you're going to get beat. And especially because there is no underdog mentality here.
Oh yeah, you're the big
When
favorites
we won
now.
the Super Bowl, it was literally, we need type thing, and it was like we were the underdogs, and like, hey, there was never a number one seed that was not favored in that game,
Yeah.
and then to go to the next game and not be favored, at home, and then go to and Minnesota got in on the skin of their
Yeah.
teeth there. You know what I mean? And shouldn't have even been there. Should have been the Saints.
Oh
And
wow.
to go, if you remember, because that
Yeah.
was the same. That was the miracle in Minnesota,
Stephon Diggs.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
So
I like that Minnesota team. I thought they should have won that game coming in, but they were outplayed most of that game by
right.
Breeze. But Breeze doing Breeze things. His arm wears down at the end of seasons, in my opinion. That's what cost him in a lot of games towards the end of his career. Man, that was a good run there. That was a really good. But you know what? You almost lost that Atlanta game that year.
Yep.
Was you at that game?
I was not at that game. I was
Holding your
watching it
breath on
on
that last
TV.
series, wouldn't you?
I mean, you know what though? It was like one of those things where I just knew that he wasn't going to catch it. That there was going to be something. You know, uh, I have a sixth sense about certain things, and my
Yeah.
sixth sense always tells me that uh, Matt Ryan doesn't beat the Eagles.
And he
It's his
was in his
favorite team.
hometown.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he
was in
doesn't.
his hometown. He was trying to get it to Julio. He couldn't do it. I was working that day and it was snowing here. I shouldn't have been doing it. I was listening to it on the radio and I'm thinking, yeah, he's going to score. And it's just the same old fade route, which is the worst route in the red zone. If you ask, I hate the fade route in the red zone.
You hate the fa- You hate it because it always usually works, or
And
because
well, I like it if it's on my defense. I don't like
yeah,
it if I'm the offensive coordinator
got
because
you.
there's not enough real estate there with the
Well,
out of bounds and just So, so what do you expect? So you're thinking NFC Championship game, Super Bowl?
I initially thought at the beginning of the year that we were going to make it to the NFC Championship game. I think now
Man,
that we go to the Super Bowl, I think the NFL stinks. I mean,
there's
I
not a
think
lot
that
of
there's
dominance, is it?
no, I think that when everything comes out to play here, that you're going to have Minnesota. Minnesota's probably going to lose a game, I would think. I don't think that they're going to run the table and go 16-1. So I think that they lose a
No.
game, and I think that the Eagles will probably lose a game, and that's going
Yeah,
to allow San Francisco to be the number 3 seed.
yeah,
So it's going to be San Francisco and Minnesota, and I think San Francisco beats Minnesota. And I don't care who's in the number 5, 6, or 7 seed because I know it ain't going to be Tampa Bay who gets the number 4 seed.
yeah,
They're not going to get past that game 1 in the playoffs. Although teams with losing records in the playoffs seem to win games.
yeah,
Obviously, Washington did not do that against the Buccaneers 2 years ago, but
yeah.
normally when you have a losing record and you're in the playoffs, you win.
Seattle Seahawks a few years ago.
Yep.
And that my okay. So what? So you're thinking? So what's your score Sunday? Tennessee, Philly.
See, this is where
I'm sorry, brother. You
th-
can hit me with the bad news. I can
I
handle it.
no, see, I think that this is going to be a game where Brown just goes off,
He
and
circled it.
he did. And
You're not going to be flat Sunday. I'll tell you that.
I tell you, when I remember listening to the phone conversation between him and Hertz when he got traded.
Oh, nice. I didn't
you
hear
know,
that.
and
Wow.
it was like they were laughing on the phone with each other because they were great friends. They've been great
Yeah,
friends, throughout all of this. So now all of a sudden you got them to say, and they were just like giddy with each other, you
man.
know. And I just heard AJ Brown say, "Let's do this," and you heard Jalen Hurts say no more,"
Yeah, yeah.
and it's been like that ever since. You could say, I mean, you could argue that the referees lost us that one game. I don't
Oh,
do that.
the
You know,
Washington.
yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah,
But I mean, you could argue that, and that we would be undefeated here at this point. I think being
man.
undefeated is overrated. You know what I mean? I think
I
that
figured
that's.
that would be your take on that. You
I
know,
mean, I mean, I am. I love. I would love us for us to be undefeated and go
night.
throughout the rest
Yeah,
of the season
20-0.
undefeated. Yeah, but I don't think I think that is really overrated. I think that it
Yeah,
is. I think it's you need too much luck to
yeah.
have that happen. And there's going to be bounces that happen in the opposite direction. If you know, when I think of the Giants, and you saw, like I was talking
The
about it
Patriots.
today, yeah, about the catch on the helmet.
Yeah,
That was the one bounce that went the wrong way for the Patriots, and it really cost them that game.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I can't.
figure
Who was it that safety said God caught that ball? I can't remember the guy's name that played for the Patriots that year.
Yeah,
Uh,
but either
he's
way,
really
it's
dirty player. He's got a bad reputation. I can't remember his name,
but
but
yeah,
David
it's
Tyree was
unimportant.
Yeah,
But
unimportant, but
Tyree caught that ball,
yeah,
and they kept the drive alive, and they wind up scoring the touchdown to win the game for that
yeah.
Super Bowl. And when you think about that and just how all of the bounces kind of went their way all
Oh
season
yeah.
long, and that was the one bounce that didn't go their way, and they wound up losing the Super Bowl because of it.
Wouldn't you rather lose a game in the middle of the season like the Bears did on Monday night against the Patriots
Dolphins.
or
It was
against the
against the
Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dolphins.
So
You know,
I mean,
so
I like I said, losing the game the way we did against Washington, even though they scored on that last play, which really didn't matter, they still had a chance to win that game in the
yeah,
last play of the game had that play gone differently. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't meant to happen. You could kind of feel it all night long, and there was so many other things that had happened that aligned with the fact that we weren't going to win that game. Like
yeah.
the World Series was over now, so the energy level was deflated in a lot of ways in
Mm.
comparison. It's just like we were all hungover from the World Series. That it was hard to get anybody up for the
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
And it's just the energy level was less than what it should have been. Now, since then, the energy level's back up.
I can
Like
tell.
we were able to get it back up there again. But it was a tough time. It was a tough time there. And so when you ask me what I think is going to happen this week, I think that this is going to be a week where actually the Titans get a whipping put on that defense.
Really. See,
And
Pickles, he thinks it's going to be 30-13.
I was going to say 31-17.
Oh man, yeah, I'll tell you this: if Jeffrey Simmons plays, I think that Tennessee could potentially go up there and win, like a 24-19 type of game. Now, remember, Titans took a backup quarterback. They went up to Kansas City, and they were a player or two away from beating them in overtime. They have a
I
tendency. Do you remember that game?
24-19 is not enough points.
Yeah.
Not enough points. You're going to have to go into a shootout. It's
Well,
to,
that's
to
it.
win this
You'll
game.
win that game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys get into a shootout and get 33 points, you might have a chance. Because then it would be like 33-31. I
Oh
think
wow.
that's the
So
only
you're
way that
picking the over.
I think that we score a lot of points. I think what's the over under 40 and a half?
Probably. Probably. I have to go
Yeah, I
look,
think
but
it's
yeah.
40 and a half.
It's well, I know you're about a 6-point favorite over
I know
Tennessee.
it was 5 last time I checked, and I think it was 40 and a half. I'm
Oh,
taking the over because I
okay.
think that we score points.
Yeah.
I think that we score 30 points, and I think that is our MO right now, and that's what's important to us because, or at least important to me, because I don't trust our defense, because I don't trust our coordinator, and
Yeah.
that's why we got to score 40 points to beat the Packers 40-33. You know what I mean? We
Mm.
have to we have to score 31 points and keep you guys to 17 because if it starts to get towards the end, the great thing about our offense is
Yeah.
in the fourth quarter, we can do a 7-8 minute drive by running the football.
Best line in football, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's
I
what
don't see
wins
why it's
games.
even. Yeah. So
And now the defensive line's all back in shape. I think that it's going to be difficult, and that is how we win games right now. You
yeah.
asked me, well, how is this all happening? Because of our offense and defensive line. That's where the championships are won. And
Yeah.
I have been very particular on how it's going to be. And yeah, so far so
Yeah.
good right now.
Hey man, I tell you what, my prediction: if Simmons plays, it'll be 22-19. Tennessee's defense plays way over their head.
Do you think they score points? Are they going to score
Well, yeah,
points?
yeah, and the 22-19, that would be a very, Tennessee holds the run to a minimum, and Hurts has to make big throws. Now, who are you using as a tight end right now? I know Goddard's out.
Goddard's out, and we have Tyree Jackson and
Okay,
another guy.
Skull or
I don't know
something
that
like
that's as
that.
important. Yeah, I don't
Skull
know
or
that
something.
they're important.
Yeah,
The truth of the matter is that Quez Watkins is the guy now who's starting to get looks.
He can run. You love that guy.
I tell you, he's the fastest guy on the field, and if he gets behind guys, he. The problem is Jalen Hurts' arm strength there.
Yeah.
So
That's his
44
weakness,
and a half, yeah, 44
making
and a
those
half, we'd
third
still
and
go
reads,
over.
you know. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly correct. And he can't when he has to throw far, it becomes a rainbow. And you rainbows don't typically get caught by the right people. So
Yeah.
that's part of the issues that I kind of see with being able to utilize the speed the way I expect us to. But I expect Brown to get 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
So
Well, if you
and
expect
that
that,
kills your
I'll probably
19
take
right
that.
out of the water.
All right, brother. Hey, I'll take that. Now, you made a really good statement over the summer, a hot take that has come to fruition about Russell Wilson. You said that you think this is going to be a major disappointment. They're 3-8. He's got teammates cursing him out on the field. What was your thought behind that?
That you could see the beginning of the end in Seattle,
Wow.
and ultimately him going to Denver wasn't going to, you could just see the writing on the wall. This whole thing, and I'm not blaming everything that's going on in Denver on Russell Wilson,
Okay.
but when you sell a franchise, all of a sudden everybody's a little nervous because am I going? Am I staying? Am I about to get
Yeah.
fired? That everybody's human. You know what I mean? And the
Mhm.
human portion of this comes through. Now, I will take, to go off of my hot take, next year, Russell Wilson will be better
Okay.
because he's got pride and he
Yeah.
works at his craft.
Yeah.
This year ain't going, this year's done,
Yeah.
and it was done beforehand. It was like I
Yeah.
saw the writing on the wall for this year. Next year, he will be better. That doesn't mean the team's going to be any better.
Yeah.
I thought that everybody was touting the West as the best division in football, blah, 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 blah.
It's the
I
East.
told you that the
Yeah.
West stunk. They stunk.
Yeah.
That the Raiders got rid of the two best things they had going for them, their coach and their GM. You got rid of those two guys, and they fell apart. You got, you know, who else is there? The Chargers out there.
Chargers.
They're okay. They're treading water, but they put all this stuff in the defense. Still didn't take care of the offensive line. Still have
Yeah.
the same problem. If you want to bother Herbert, you go right up the middle, right up the gut, and all of a sudden he's not as good a quarterback as he used to be. You got Kansas
Yeah.
City, which is still probably, I still think, the class of the AFC, because
Probably
until
so.
until
Yeah.
the Bills really beat them in a game that matters,
Yeah. In the
you know,
playoffs. In the playoffs.
then I don't believe that that's going to be the case. And I think the Bills are faltering. I think that the
Yeah.
Bills are
They got
already,
to get healthy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then what's that other team over there that I can't even think of that's in the West?
Raiders. Oh,
The
Titans.
Raiders, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Broncos, and
Yeah.
the Chargers. So yeah, so like I said, I told you
Okay.
that West was
Yeah.
going to stink. I mean, as of right now, the Titans have been the only team to win a game against the NFC East.
Wow. Wow.
Nobody
Who
else has
was
won a
it?
game. They
Oh,
beat.
yeah. Yeah. They beat Washington the other day.
That's it, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's the only game. You guys haven't played Dallas yet, correct?
Yeah. Well, that's going to be here, though. That'll be here
Right.
on the week of Christmas, I think.
So
And
no,
it'll
we
be
got him
played on
Christmas
Thursday
Eve. We
night.
got him Christmas Eve. So you might have him the
Oh,
week
you
before,
got on
18th.
Christmas Eve. I think it's probably the week before that. Or maybe
Right.
it's
So
New
it's
Year's
probably the
Friday.
18th.
Yeah,
Or the
18th. Yeah.
18th or the New Year's, one or the other. But,
Yeah.
but either way, nobody else has won a game
Yeah.
from that division against the NFC East.
Mm.
And realistically, there's only been, that's why we are so much better than every other division, because the NFC North hasn't won but like 2 games against us.
Wow.
Like
Yeah, the
I
North
think
is
it's 3
horrible.
now.
Yeah.
So
They're really bad. No, you guys haven't lost any. Yeah, you only lost that game to Washington. I was about to say, yeah, the North, man. You demolished Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota's got 2 losses now. Remember, they lost the other day
right.
to Dallas. They were
So
flat.
Right.
You
So, and
know,
that kind of made up for the Green Bay loss that Dallas had. 'Cause Green Bay
yeah.
should have never beaten Dallas, but I'm happy that they did. It just gives us that extra little bit of cushion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That we could have a hiccup and still not really falter that badly. So,
that is
it's
true. I guess technically they're still in it, Dallas. You got
yeah. I
6
mean,
games,
Dallas
right?
can still win the division. Actually, right at this moment, any one of the NFC East teams could still win the division, including Washington. So
Okay.
it's still possible. However, after we beat you guys this week, we'll have clinched a playoff spot.
Well, it's probably going to happen. Here's the thing about Mike Vrabel. He's a lot like Belichick. He'll lie about the injury report all the way up to 10:30 when you have to say who's going to play and who's not going to play. 10:30 Central Time, 11:30 Eastern Time, and he kills me with that, man. I don't even know if our best defensive player is going to play, which is
Uh,
Jeffrey Simmons.
yeah, I don't know that it'll matter. I mean, because he's a defensive end, right?
He plays tackle.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean,
He
because
kind
that
of reminds
means
me of Fletcher Cox, a younger Fletcher Cox, if you want a comparison to the
yeah.
Eagle.
So ultimately, I mean, like I said, that goes up against our offensive line,
Yeah.
and it's like I put my offensive line up against anybody.
Anybody in the league right now. I
Yeah.
mean, long as keep Big Lane Johnson healthy, and the
Lane
whole line really.
Lane Johnson is the only tackle in the league that hasn't let a hurry or sack, has no quarterback hits to his record, and has not no holding penalties or anything. So
Man, that's
talking about
unbelievable.
that's just high ranking, high rating, and the same thing. Then you got Mailata on the other side, who
Yeah.
Mailata, who ran down the field and chased down after that fumble recovery from Brown and chased him down
Mm,
60 yards, knocked over two of his own guys in the process as he got like a half of a tackle on that.
that's
So it
good stuff.
was. I mean,
He's athletic. They're all about 30 something too. You want guys that are vets like that.
well, except Mailata. Mailata is only 24 years old.
Oh, is he the
Actually, half.
young? Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good, man.
and so is the half that line is young, half the line is old. So
Okay.
Sayamalu, uh, and Lane Johnson and Kelsey are the old guys.
Yeah.
Then you
They
have
got some miles on them.
Dickerson and Mailata are both really young, and then you have Jurgens who's going to be coming in after Kelsey retires. Who's
Yeah.
going to be able to take over that spot? And then the other guys that are in that rotation are still fairly young too. I mean, because you
Mm.
still have Andre Dillard, whose name you don't even really mention, but he's still a worthwhile tackle. I feel like he's going to get traded in the season because he really is more of an asset to another team and should get back first or second round pick.
Woo. Hey, I've called my guy. We need some tackles, man. We need
There
the
you go.
offensive. We need a whole offensive line here. Plus, you've got the Saints first round pick next year. Dude, y'all are cooking with gas right now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And and you know what? That's great for us. However, it means nothing if we start losing games or we start don't doing we start thinking
Yeah.
we start sniffing ourselves too much. You gotta stay focused on the prize at hand. We have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything if we don't
Right.
lift up the Lombardi at the end.
Mm. Yeah, a friend of mine, I was telling him, I said, I'm bringing in a Philly Supers fan here. He said, ask him about the coffin thing with Sean Taylor. Is that true or is that a myth with the
So
parking lot?
the coffin situation, uh, it I don't know all of the details on that. I think
Okay.
that they were putting more of the Redskins to rest. That was really what it was about.
Okay.
The Sean Taylor had occurred, and
Yeah.
we had a 76er who was a big fan of Washington and started the fight and such like that. And realistically, it was a bunch of idiots, really. It was a bunch of
Yeah.
idiots. What are you doing with a coffin at a tailgate, anyways? You know what I mean? Come on now, let's be for real. I mean, I understand that you're trying to put, that's what the story is that
Yeah.
they were putting the Redskins, you know, to rest.
The rest.
They were laying them to
It
rest.
was
That
nothing
it
personal with
was
him.
not meant to be something of Sean Taylor.
Okay.
So
That's what I figured.
that's that's
That's what I figured.
that's a different level of disrespect that I wouldn't stand
Oh,
for. You know what I mean? It's bad enough. It's bad enough sometimes that I have to fight the powers that be. To make sure, like when anybody wants to come in and they are nervous about being in Philadelphia for a game, I
yeah.
have them come with me because I know that
Yeah.
they won't get touched. You know what I mean?
So if I
Because
go
people
with
have that.
Philadelphia, I'll come with you. Think I'll
You
be
know
all right?
what? No, you would be able to walk all around Philadelphia because nobody cares about the Titans.
Hey, I will save that note. If Titans win Sunday, I will save that line, brother.
Well,
This could be a Super Bowl preview, right?
it could
Technically, we're
very well
leading our
be. It could
division.
very well be.
You're
You
leading
know,
your
it's,
division.
yep. And it's going to be a matter of, you know, is it going to go through Kansas City? I think if anybody has to go through Kansas City, you don't win.
Yeah,
I think that you guys had the biggest opportunity last year, and
blew it.
Cincinnati just came in there.
We got to change our number. Tennessee's got to change. They've got them. Did you have that one team as an Eagle fan that you knew had your number for a number of years?
Uh, I'm trying to think of like who. I mean, you could kind of say the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, I feel like a lot of the times we would beat ourselves, but whenever it came to anything really important, we would beat the Cowboys.
Okay.
So I'm not really concerned like about that. Uh, as I think about teams that have our number,
Or just over the years where you're thinking, geez,
we have
man.
had a really challenging time winning in New Orleans.
Oh,
We just
okay.
couldn't seem to do it. We just can't seem to win in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Tampa, a little bit, but
Back in
that goes hot and
02?
cold. Well, when you're talking about that, I mean that guy's still running. Yeah, I can't stand the name Barber still, but
You
and
don't
that's
like his
why
brother neither.
no, neither one of them. I couldn't stand either one of them.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I tell
but
you what.
I feel that like the Saints are really the one team that we've had a really difficult time in their home.
Yeah.
When they're in Philly, it's a different world. But when we are in New Orleans, we just cannot seem to get it together and win a game. Uh,
Yeah.
anybody else right now, the NFL stinks so bad. It's just that the product that's
Yeah.
out
It,
there
it
has not
does
been.
feel like that there's a lot of bad play in the league this year. And, Tennessee, it used to be Baltimore had our number. The Titans, they seem to have the Jacksonville Jaguars number, even when the Jaguars were really good. It
And
just
then look,
seems
the
that,
Jaguars seem to have the Colts number.
and they
Colts
haven't
can't seem
won
to
a
beat
game
them.
in Jacksonville, Jamie, since for 7 or 8 years.
They haven't won a game against Jacksonville for like 4 in
I'm talking
total.
about
So
7 straight in Jacksonville.
in Jacksonville,
Yeah.
but I'm talking 8 straight overall.
Right,
The
right, right.
Colts have
Okay,
lost.
okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's somebody who's got your number. And because the
Yeah.
Jaguars stink out loud, they won 3 games last year. 2 of them are against the Colts.
Hey,
One of them
it is
was
what
to
it is, brother.
play spoiler for the playoffs.
Oh,
I mean, that's a big
yeah, Jim
deal.
Irsay went crazy. He got rid of Carson Wentz, and we know what happened later. He fired the coach, man. But it's just one of those things, man. It's just one of those things, my friend. Well,
Yeah,
do you got anything you want to plug? How's your career doing? You seem
I
to be
think
everywhere.
lately it has been absolutely crazy. I've been getting endorsements. I have been going to games. I take thousands upon thousands of pictures.
Yeah.
I get you know it's like going from no list to a D list. Now I'm a D list celebrity.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
all of a sudden doors are open that weren't open before. But
Nice.
I don't have to wait. I don't have to line like with everybody else.
You get
But
like a
short of that,
VIP
it's
pass?
no, I don't get any VIP passes. I get to wave hello to the VIP people. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I get to do.
That's the next step.
That's well, but it's I'm working on it. I'm working on as best as I can. Yeah, it's
I,
like baby
yeah,
steps, baby steps. Before it
yeah,
was like I had a hard time getting in the building. Now I can get in the building, and I can, you know, it's people ask how I get the seats that I do, and it's like, well, because those seats are usually empty, and I can sit there because the NFL and the Eagles want me there.
yeah.
You know,
Sunday
so
night football, the Dallas game. You got a lot of TV time, man.
well, I have to. I that is all because the Dallas guy who I was standing next to
Yeah.
bought those tickets.
Oh, he
Yeah,
bought those tickets, and
he
he's on our
bought
show,
those
right?
tickets. Yes, he is. So
Yeah,
true blue, and he's a good friend of mine. It's so it's funny what Collingsworth says. Hey, if these two guys can get along, the world should be
yeah,
able to get along. I
yeah,
mean, he's a little bit right with that because I mean we we appreciate the passion that each other has in our team.
yeah,
And he can he can take the joke when I'm turning around and yelling in his face that we just won. He gets
yeah,
that joke because he
yeah,
knows when I go to Dallas, Jerry Jones likes to troll me.
yeah,
He's Jerry Jones has done a couple of things to troll me specific.
yeah.
Um, so I'm
What do you
trying
think
to
about
email him.
that photo of 1957 of Jerry Jones? I don't know how that leaked out.
Yeah, well, first off, ultimately, if there's ever something there, somebody's going to find it. And
Yeah,
the truth of the matter is that
he's only
you could
14 years
tell
old.
from that picture, he's trying to see what's going on. He
He's a
has no
nosy. That's what
idea.
he said. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah,
he's like, what's happening here? It's like,
yeah,
and truth of the matter, at 14 years old,
yeah.
it's like I don't think that it's a big deal. And
Right.
anybody who wants to make it a big deal, including Mr. LeBron James, is just drawing at straws. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Listen, LeBron, you said you were going to win not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not
yeah,
six. Have you gotten past three yet? Has he
yeah.
gotten four
Yeah,
championships
he's
yet?
got four.
He's got four, but I ain't
Yeah.
seen five or six. Make it to six first before you start talking politics or anything. When you
Oh
start to
my.
run for
Amen,
governor or
brother.
whatever, then you can
Yeah.
start talking about politics. In the meantime, shut up and play basketball, dummy. That's how I feel about that.
No, no, you got me clapping here now. To that situation, you know, I was gonna play a soundbite after I got you off, but now that we got wound up, about LeBron, if I say this in front of Jim, it's blasphemy, you know.
Right,
But
right.
anywho, LeBron James on his little corny show called The Shop, he says when he was air quote 14 years old, when he went to his all white Catholic school, this is LeBron James, quote, I didn't F for white people. Matter of fact, let me play this real quick. Let me see. Hold on here, Captain.
To the school to play ball, and that's it. I don't want nothing to do with white people. I don't believe that they want anything to do with I don't want no. It's me and my boys. We going to high school together. We here to hoop.
LeBron James admits he didn't
So
always trust.
He was 14. He was an uninformed, ignorant kid. Jerry Jones in 1957 was 14, ignorant kid. Cut him some slack. LeBron James, he's saying this. Yo asked me about Kyrie Irving. Well, Jerry Jones is in the NFL. You're in the NBA. And if you're going to talk about human rights, I mean, you've got all this business going. He's the face, air quote, according to the media of the NBA. There were 10 people who were died in China because they were bolted reportedly into an apartment complex because of zero COVID lockdown. And why don't the media ask you about that? That wasn't 60 years ago. That was last week. How
Why
about
does
that?
anybody care
Hold
what
on, bro.
he's got to say? Why does anybody care?
Yeah.
So this goes back to now. I served the country. I served my country. I was in the
Oh, that's
Navy.
right. You were in the Navy, right?
Right. So when they started kneeling, I could
Yeah.
care less. You know what I
Okay.
mean? If you needed to take a rest for the national anthem, I understand how everybody got upset. But the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is that what they eat doesn't make me poop. And I tell you, I could care less what they do. I
Yeah.
could care less what they got to say.
Yeah.
I care less. Prove to me by taking action for real.
Yeah.
Don't talk, act.
Yeah.
LeBron, you got all this money. Truth of the matter is that the whole thing with Kyrie is ridiculous too.
Yeah.
And
That is true.
because
Yes.
I think it was way blown up out of proportion. They vilified him for
Oh
no
my
reason
goodness. Steps, are you
whatsoever.
kidding me, Jamie? That's crazy.
Yeah,
You know?
and why does anybody care? These guys get paid for one thing only. That's
Yeah.
to play a game that you learned how to play when you were a kid. You get paid millions of dollars to do that. Why does anybody care when anybody's got to say?
Yeah.
If I started talking politics,
Yeah.
I'd lose half of my fan base
Yeah.
because I have certain feelings about things. The truth
You
of the
got
matter
strong
is that I
beliefs.
don't care about politics
Yeah.
in the slightest bit. But ultimately, in
Yeah.
10 years, I've
Yeah.
got my base right now is our kids. I've got,
Yeah.
the strongest part of my following is from like 20 to 10 to 20 years old. In
Yeah.
10 years, when I decide that I'm going to go run for politics,
Yeah.
I'm not even picking a side. I'm going with the no party, and I'm going to go with a positive, just a straight positive campaign.
Yeah.
And you watch how they're going to vote for me because everybody's negative now. It's
It
always
is.
negative. All
It
the
is.
media, everything's negative.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can bring up all the crap about me. Bring it all up.
Yeah.
I listen. I have not been. I've not been a saint. If you
No.
want to dig, you don't have to dig far to find some bad
Everybody's got
about me.
yellow. There's no perfect people out there, Jamie.
You know what? My bodies are buried right around me, so you're going to find them. You know what I mean? It
It's
ain't
good
it
just to
ain't
be
that hard to
upfront
find them.
about it. Yeah.
But that's what I believe. I
Yeah.
believe that people need to be a lot more positive in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, and it's the miserable. It's everybody's miserable because that person's got it, and that person's got it, and this
Yeah.
person's got it, and this person's got it. I could care less what LeBron's got to say about anything. I don't listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't move the needle for me one little bit.
And
When these
they
guys were
keep
kneeling,
quoting him. Yeah.
when these guys were kneeling for the anthem, didn't move the needle for me. And the fact that it moved the needle for anybody is the reason why we're still talking about stuff like that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And who was it? Ricky Gervais. I just love what he said at the Academy Awards a few years ago. He's like, nobody cares what you. If ISIS had a streaming service, you would be the first to call your agent about it.
Right. You know what I mean? So
He's like,
let's
just
be
thank
for
you,
real.
God, and get the bleep off the stage. Don't
Right.
lecture us on
Exactly.
that stuff,
And
James
that's
is
what
a
I get.
rapper. He said this about a different topic, but it's what we do for sports. Blue collar people like yourself and myself. He says, I came to the club to get that off my mind because somebody was trying to sell him business at a nightclub. People come to the games, like Max says, and yourself and me too. We come for escapism. If you want to do that stuff, go to the police stations, do your human rights, and the media will follow you in the off season. There's so much media out here. I mean, why do you got to do that sort of thing at the games? It says you, everyday working guy, you're the problem. You fan base that's followed me for years, you're the problem. Like, I'm the problem now? Come on, man.
Well, and that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
That it is that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's you that's the problem. It's me that's the problem, and it's
Yeah.
every one of us that's the problem. That's not the case at all.
That's
It's
broad
not the case.
brushes is what that is. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah. So
and
let me
that's
ask
why
you
I
this.
don't listen to it.
Yeah.
So,
Do you follow any college football? Because they got a 12-team playoff coming in 2 years. It's going to be like the NFL, man.
yeah, I think Penn State will probably be 13th in that one.
Huh?
So I think Penn State will wind up being number 13 that year. So it's like
Tennessee?
I tell you, the truth of the matter is that I feel like that college is probably one of the more corrupt
Yeah.
franchises in all of sports. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the biggest issue and problem, that there is, there's now that they have the NIL and
Yeah.
that money, and they don't have a way to really regulate it. And, The NCAA is just a floating body now. They don't really have any say. Everybody wants to be part of the SEC or the Big Ten, and all these other conferences are going to start to disappear and whatever. I mean, really, I feel like that if you're going to do this right, you need to start doing it in a way where you start having conference levels similar to they do in soccer, professional soccer in Europe and like England and stuff like that, where you have the A, Series B, Series C, D, or 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, and you have 30 or 40 teams in the top tier, 40 teams in the second tier, 40
Oh,
teams in the
wow.
third tier, and have individual championships for those tiers. And if you win the championship, you get to move up and you get to do that. And the only way to be a national champion is to work your way up into the rankings in total.
Man,
And I think
that sounds
that would
complex.
well, it's only complex until they figure it out and do it. Right now, they're about to make this all happen this way, anyways, because these conferences are about to be 30 teams strong. Which is going to be ridiculous. You're not going to be able to play all these teams.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. What do you think about the possibility of a Jim Harbaugh taking an NFL job? Maybe taking that Arizona job if it comes available.
Good for him. I think that some people belong in college, some people belong in the pros. I think one of the biggest things why he belongs in college and not the pros is that he is, the way he talks to people.
Yeah,
he gets away with it in college.
Personality, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Excuse my language. He's an asshole. And when you are that way, and you're an adult, and listen, if you want to talk to me that way, I'll show you how much of one I could be.
Yeah.
And that's how professional players are. When you're in college, you don't got a choice. Now you can get in the transfer portal and you can go somewhere else. But if you're going to win a national championship, maybe I'll deal with it. And that's kind of what happens.
He went far with San Francisco, but he did wear on management. He wore on the ownership and management. But the players seem to love the guy. I don't know, but who knows? But what you're saying, I hear that too.
I think that the players actually did their own policing.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was a player, he allowed some of that. So, unfortunately, his demeanor doesn't change. It's always the same. If he's going to be that way with them, he's going to be that way with them and them and them and them. I think he's better off staying in Michigan. I think that he will have better success in Michigan than he will.
Do you think he'll win a national championship in Michigan if he stays there 3 more years?
Tough to say.
Because of the recruiting.
Yeah, and because of the transfer portal and stuff like that. I feel like Georgia and Alabama have the stranglehold. Then you have Ohio State and Michigan in that second. And then Penn State is like in that quick third. They're in the same areas like Notre Dame, I think, and stuff like that. So there is that area of being able to grab those blue chip or those 5 chip or 4 chip players.
5-star guys.
Yeah, but
that's my thing. He's just a tick off. He needs a few more. Ohio State's got a better team on paper than Michigan every year as far as I follow recruiting. Down here, it's huge, man. It is huge, And
what? Tennessee was doing pretty well up until a couple weeks ago, right? And then all of a sudden they
far succeeded my expectations, man.
And then they fell off. It's like, oh, we got the number 5. Guess what? We don't belong here.
They had rankings wise, Jamie. It was like a number 17 team as far as recruiting ranking. But I got another theory about these spread offenses. You run too much of that spread, they wear down as the season goes along. Ohio State, for example, Tennessee giving up 63 points to South Carolina a few weeks ago.
It seemed like, hold on. I did hear South Carolina just scored again. I remember watching that game, and it was like, I'm like, hold on, South Carolina.
My Alabama friends at church, they never let me uh, to pick beating Bama. Yeah, beating Florida for me as a younger fan, that was the Super Bowl for me. That's the
Right.
team that had our number in college, man. It's Florida. Jeez, anybody but Florida,
Right.
No, but
So,
anyway,
I don't get into this college as much because the only college football team that I have anywhere near me is Temple,
yeah,
and
Temple.
you know,
Yeah, Matt
if
Rule.
you're a football player, you don't choose Temple. So,
Well,
and
you
now
got
my
all other
college.
sports, brother. You got 4 sports. Hey, congratulations on your write up there on phillysports.com, folks. Check that out. You got anything else you need to plug, man?
No, I'm in great shape. Like I said, I just if you want to see any of my content, go just plug in the Philly Sports Guy. Just Google me, and you'll see it. You'll see all that stuff just pop on up. I'm everywhere. I'm like Visa, everywhere you want to be.
Have you trademarked that yet?
No, because Visa's got it trademarked.
No, I was talking about get your waitress.
I'll be here all week. Try the veal.
My friend Corey says, thumbs up, brother.
So,
Bravo, Mr. Pags. Everybody, man, you and my friend, you should watch my interview yesterday. Andre is a funny guy. He's got some of these guys got great sense of humor. No, the Philly sports guy, I mean, that you should be thinking
so
about it. I'm sure somebody
the
else
Philly
maybe
Sports
has.
Guy is trademarked.
Okay, you
Yeah,
already checked it, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually starting to trademark my face or copyright my face. The
Okay.
faces of the Philly Sports Guy because it's uh, I have a lot of pictures that are out there. Some of these
Yeah.
pictures be used for advertising, and that's where the real question becomes. It's like it's not a matter of I don't mind if somebody uses my picture if they want to have a story and they have my picture out there. I mean, the picture with me and Aaron Rodgers went viral again this year
Oh,
when we
nice.
played them, and it's a 2-year-old picture. So
Yeah.
I saw it 2 years ago, and everybody's seeing it now, and they're like, I got inundated with tags on it, which I love. I love it when my fans are like, "Hey, we see you, we see you, we see you, we see you,
Yeah.
we see you everywhere." Uh, it's 2 years old. I saw it 2 years ago, but I appreciate the fact that you're bringing it up now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
sometimes the internet takes a while to catch on.
What are you up to now on TikTok followers?
180,000.
Woo!
So
We got to get that 200,000 mark, man.
yeah, I figure that's going to happen. That'll happen if Jerry Jones flies me down to Dallas for a Christmas Eve game.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said,
When you
I'm
take that
emailing him.
selfie with him.
No, he won't take a selfie with me. Actually, I feel like that he's going to troll me. Here's what I believe. I feel like what he'll do is he'll say he's coming to get me, and I'll go on the tarmac, ready to go on the jet plane with my bag and everything,
Yeah.
and they're going to close up the plane and take off without me.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Like that would be like he would spend $25,000 or $50,000 to troll me that way.
Yeah.
Hey, oh yeah, I got this guy. Oh, you
He
want to come
throws,
down to Dallas? I
Stephen A.
got you.
Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Hey,
the
man.
plane. Like every time I try to get up onto the steps, he's like the plane moves a little bit further in front of me.
Well, we got to stick it to that Philly sports guy. I
That's right.
love that when you're driving down in the car and Mac puts you on, you got all that makeup on in your the people look at you crazy at red lights, say, oh, crap.
You know what? Now they expect it.
They
So
beat the horn and stuff.
people start honking and cheering. I'm really blessed with the
Yeah.
fan base that's here and how they've accepted me because it's not everybody's cup of tea. I don't ever. I'm humble throughout all this. I'm not. I'm not a better fan than anybody else. I just wear better makeup.
I'm not a player. I just crush a lot.
So exactly.
All right, Kiss. Did you like Kiss growing up? The band Kiss?
Not really.
I wasn't saying.
However, I will tell you that I did. My mother, before she had passed, we were talking about me starting this, and I was just starting into this business and learning how it all worked. And she said, when you were like 10 years old, you would ask me why I get painted up for anything other than Eagles games. Why
Yeah.
isn't somebody getting painted up for the Flyers game or the Sixers game or the Phillies? And she would, and I said, well, what did you say? She goes, I told you what any other mother would say. Go outside and play. Stop bothering me.
Get out of here and shut the
Exactly.
door on the way out.
Yeah, is it 10 years old? What are you talking about? Get out of here. So,
Yeah.
and now,
You
but
sound like my mom.
that there was interest back then, though, is kind of what I'm getting at. That this was always maybe in the cards for me,
Yeah.
and it's not an easy gig. There's nobody else that's ever done this before,
Yeah.
so
How
there's
often do
no
you
manual.
lose your voice, man?
Never.
Okay, good. So you never go too far as like getting
Well,
too
you know
crazy.
what? So I will say that my voice has been raspy
Yeah.
this month because I have not recovered. I have not recovered from October,
Oh
uh,
wow.
where I never 100% lost my voice. I'm never like squeaky,
Yeah.
you can't hear me, uh, because I don't yell. I just talk. I'm one of those, I'm Italian, so
Yeah.
if I wanted to get my point across, sometimes I had to be louder than everybody else. So I was able to uh, just belt out what I wanted to say. So this is like a whisper to me, where
Yeah.
my mother would always yell at me. She's like, "Stop you screaming." I'm like, "I'm not screaming. This is just the way I talk." It's but if you start to get me excited, I
Yeah.
get loud, the volume up, and the more excited I get, the bigger the volume. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it all works out. It's just like, hey, here I am, and
I
I'm
hear you,
all
brother.
part of it.
I hear you.
So
You know, the lead singer for AC/DC, he lost his voice. So you got to be careful, brother.
yeah, well, you know what? He didn't. Well, he moved just recently, but he didn't live that far away from me. He lived
Oh, wow.
about I want to say about an hour away, uh, right down the street. I would pass by his house as I would go to my shore house.
Freaking small world, man.
Yeah, his whole area was called Thunderstruck.
Yeah. That's awesome. You gonna be on Mac and Jack Sunday?
I will make my appearance because
Okay.
I will be there. I actually I have to do a parade on Saturday, so I'm not going to be at the debate show.
Look at
Uh,
you.
yeah, I have to go walk down unless it starts to rain. I'll find out tomorrow whether they're going to have it or not because it's supposed to pour here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know if he's told you, but I melt in the rain. So
Oh man, yeah. I
I'm
forgot
like the
about the
Wicked Witch of the
parade.
West. You know what I mean? It's I start to turn green and
Yeah.
silvery, slimy.
All
So,
right.
but
Well, Bills are leading 17-7 if you worried about that game. Interested in
I
that.
wasn't worried about it, but I am going to watch the second half of it because
Yeah.
I obviously I want to see how for real are the Bills,
Yeah.
and are the Patriots able to really hold on and try to get that fourth wild card spot.
Yeah. Same here, man. Same here. Yeah. Oh, I had Bills -3.5, but we'll see what happens.
-3.5 seemed like a weird number to me.
It did. Yeah, I know. But Josh Allen, New England can't do nothing with him. I don't know what he's kind of got their number right now.
Well, yeah, as long as they don't throw the ball, they would be okay. Because it's like, what was that? Was that one game they had threw the ball 3 times? That was it, and they wound up winning that game.
Well, because it was a 60-mile-per-hour gale force wind.
Yeah, whatever.
Have a good one, brother. Hey, thanks again, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I
Hey,
will see you soon.
you got it, man. See you Sunday. Good luck Sunday.
You
No
too, my
matter what
man.
happens.
Go Birds! Yeah.
I love
Have a
that.
great one,
All
buddy.
right, brother.